Yo, what's going on everyone? The Cool Geek here, and I'm after another video. And today I'm going to be talking about the Sound 4 in Naruto. How strong, fast, and durable they are. Let's get into it. So like I said, in this video I'm going to be talking about the Sound 4. I'm going to be going over AP, speed, durability, and hacks. I'm going to be going over all of them as individuals, and at the end I'll go over them as a group. Now, I've been doing live streams for the past few weeks at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Saturdays, with a couple of exceptions, so be on the lookout for those. Also, I'm going to be doing a video on each of the people that each member of the Sound 4 fights respectively, from the Konoha 11 that is, sometime later down the line. Also, if you've seen any of my content before and you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you haven't already. Also, I have new links to my 2 Discord servers in the description of this video. The old link stopped working for some reason, so if you're interested, you can click those links. Okay, so throughout the years, I've heard some pretty interesting things said about Jiroubou. Some people downplaying him, other people wanking him, and some people scaling him pretty well. But now I'm about to tell you where I think he should be at pretty confidently. This section is the only one that will be divided into blatant subsections, because Jiroubou has the most direct feats. Jiroubou forced Choji to eat the green/blue pill, whatever you want to call it, because in the anime, I think it's green, and the uncolored manga, with one translation, it's blue, and then I think in the colored version of the manga, with like a different translation, it's green. But yeah, it doesn't matter. Again, it just depends on the translation. Now, the green/blue pill does not have a confirmed multiplier, but should at least be above base. This is important because Shikamaru said that if he had to fight Choji in the Chunin exams, he probably would have given up. Now, for hacks, he can make a strong, regenerating, chakra-absorbing dome, which is a really good ability because chakra is physical, mental, and spiritual energy. Now, if you want to learn more about that, check out my video on chakra, link in the description. Now, I do kind of say in that video that it can be either physical and spiritual or physical and mental, but I've sort of shifted my view on that. I think it's all of the above, because not only because of the stuff in the manga and in the guides, but that I showed in the video, but also because when people like Hiruzen or Minato are feeling mentally down, they get like blatantly weaker. So yeah, that's important to note. I highly recommend that video for anyone who's interested in debating Naruto, or just knowing the general like who will win in like versus discussions, not even debates, or even if you debate against Naruto characters and you're trying to win so you don't get steamrolled by like some random shinobi having soul hacks or something. So a being that isn't physically strong enough to break the dome, that is made out of pure energy, that being any of the 3 kinds that I mentioned, and or a combination of them, gets negged pretty hard. It would literally just absorb their entire body. That's literally just it. Like say any being that's made out of like pure energy, again, any of the 3 kinds that I just said, just pulls up to Jiroubou and is like, "Jiroubou, I will kill you," and then Jiroubou makes the dome and just like absorbs them. Like, it's pretty much, it would literally just be that. Like, it's pretty crazy. Anyway, also for speed, Jiroubou is pretty lackluster, to be honest. He scales to Choji in speed, who unironically gets his power from being fat. Although you could probably say he scales to Shikamaru in speed, again, because Shikamaru said he'd probably give up if he had to fight Choji in the tuning exams. And Shikamaru is capable of capturing numerous sound tuning in his Shadow Possession Jutsu, and even the sound gaining were the speed of sound, so we'll go with that for now, the speed of sound. I'll make videos on Shikamaru and Choji respectively, like I said earlier in the clarification and announcement section, which will upscale this Jiroubou's speed possibly. Maybe not. Maybe it'll make it worse. Maybe it'll make it better. Who knows? So subscribe if you want to be notified when I upload those two things. Anyway, on to the next Jiroubou subsection thing. Now, for CM1 or Curse Mark 1, by the way, for the rest of the video, I'm just going to be saying CM instead of Curse Mark. That's very common in the Versus community, at least the Naruto aspect of it. Most Naruto debaters will say CM for Curse Mark. Anyway, for CM1, Jiroubou should be 2 to 5 times his base in terms of AP and speed, while in this state, he was able to physically overpower blue/green pill Choji and forced him to use the yellow pill. It's pretty much all he does, really. Again, I'm making a Choji video later to give more context to this. But the reason I say 2 to 5 times, I don't want to go over this for too long. Leave in the comments down below if you want me to make a video on the Curse Mark and how the multiplier works fully and why I think it's just 2 to 5 times. But basically, you know, most people can pretty comfortably like blitz other people that they couldn't blitz in base while they're in CM1, and also it would make sense for it to be at least 2 times, you know, narratively, but no more than 5 times, because the difference between CM1 and CM2 is pretty big. So no more than 5 times, but no less than 2 times. Anyway, on to the CM2 section. CM2 Jiroubou was only on screen for a few panels, enough for him to perform 1 feat and mention that CM2 is 10 times his base, then gets one shot by Butterfly Choji. Now, the feat was the one that I brought up in my Kid Sasuke video and referenced in my Kid Lee video. Link to both of those videos will be in the description of this one. The count comes out to 5.145 kilotons, which is small town level plus, which is important because Jiroubou is considered the weakest of the sound form. Now, what that means can be one of 2 things. Either he's not physically weaker, but it's just the overall worst fighter pound for pound, you know, like he's slower, less hacks, etc., etc. Or 2, he's actually the weakest of all of them physically, as in, you know, raw punching strength. But in any case, the others should be able to affect him physically, right? Even if they're weaker, it doesn't really matter if they're faster, if they're weaker to such a degree that they can't do anything to him. Now, that being said, they should be at least within the same range, right? There's no reason Jiroubou should be able to like one-shot any of them. So I'd say this is scalable, and I'm gonna mention that later on. I'm gonna go in more in depth on why that is. Anyway, this is even more important because the other Sound 4 members don't really have anything to directly solidify their tier, so it's going to be a lot of scaling to other people, as you'll see later. By the way, you can use this calc to backscale to the previous forms by doing some pretty simple division. Now, this is pretty easy. I'm not going to give the numbers in this video because, again, it's very, very simple division. If you want CM1 Jiroubou, all you have to do is take this calc and divide it by 2 through 5 times. So, and then you get CM1, and then divide that by 2 through 5 times. I'm sorry. And then you'd get base Jiroubou. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, you can backscale with the other members of the Sound Corps as well. Also, he has all of the abilities that come with Chakra by default. Check out my video on Chakra to learn more, because that's very important. Anyway, on to the next category. To be going over Kidoumaru. I can finally say his name correctly. I used to always get him and Kimimaru mixed up. It was really bad. Anyway, for this section, I won't really be going over AP because, as I mentioned in the Jiroubou section, he pretty much just scales vaguely to or above that calc I mentioned for Jiroubou. Although a nice little piece of inverse info is that Neji said that CM2 Kidoumaru was stronger than him. In terms of speed, he should scale above Neji, and Neji scales above Lee in speed to some degree. Now, what form of Lee you think he scales above is a bit contentious. I don't want to get into that too much, but we'll go over some different ways to look at it. So, although most people would agree that he's probably at least above first gate weighted Lee, and at best above third gate Lee. Now, I say third gate weighted Lee, but some people like to say that he scales above first gate like weightlessly, which is I think is a bit much personally, especially depending on like how much faster you think Lee is with and without his weights. But if you want to know more about Lee scaling and you don't want to be too confused here, especially because the numbers I'm about to say are pretty drastic, go check out my Lee video, at least after this one. Anyway, now first gate weighted Lee, that is, should be about 12 times the speed of sound. Again, if you want to know more about that, check out my Lee video. And third gate weightless Lee should be about Mach 14,988. So I'll leave where Neji scales up to you, and at least for now, that is, because again, I'm gonna do a video on Neji, but yeah, this is just for now. And for hacks, Kidoumaru has some of the weird ones. He has some webs that are biologically based and chakra based. It's really bizarre. He can produce a metallic substance from every sweat gland in his body, and he can use that as like armor. It's kind of gross, actually. It's pretty gross. Anyway, he can also summon spiders, and he can cocoon you in his webs, by the way. Like, it's really weird. Like, he's an actual spider. And of course, he has all of the hacks that come with chakra by default. Like, he's basically a weirder, less cool version of Spider-Man. Also, he has multiple arms. I don't know if I need to bring that up, but he does. I don't know. Maybe you can argue something with that. Also, his weird moveset is complemented by the fact that he's a very, very analytical fighter. Like, some of the stuff he thinks of is like pretty crazy. Like, his entire fight with Neji, he was like analyzing him and stuff. It was crazy. So yeah, pretty good. Anyway, on to the next category. Okay, Tayuya's AP is pretty much the same as Kidoumaru's. She is stated above Jiroubou, and as a matter of fact, she consistently talks crap about Jiroubou. So she should be relative to or above him in terms of AP. Also, in terms of stat amps, after she's in CM2, she can grow her horns, and it apparently makes her a lot stronger, I guess. So there's that, I guess. Um, Speed should scale to Shikamaru, who was able to catch a bunch of sound tuning in his shadow possession, as I mentioned earlier. And she herself actually has sound-based attacks. So her speed should be the speed of sound, if not faster. And because the sound is amped by her chakra, it should, like, the sound should definitely, scale to herself. As a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, she actually has sound attacks in base, so again, you can multiply that by the curse mark amps, I suppose. If I remember correctly, don't quote me on that last part, it might only be on CM2, not sure. Anyway, she should at least be the speed of sound, if not faster. Now, for hacks, I actually think Tayuya is one of the most interesting members of the Sound 4. She has Genjutsu. Now, this is important because Genjutsu in Naruto affects all 5 senses, similar to Aizen's mind hacks in Bleach. Now, I'm not trying to say which one is better in this video. I plan to save that for some other video, so be on the lookout for that. But she also has these weird summonings that make these weird things made out of spiritual energy or mental energy, depending on which translation you want to go with, and they eat chakra. Now, let me see if I can remember, in one of the translations it actually says that they are made entirely of spiritual energy, so they eat your physical energy. And then I think in another translation, I may or may not have the other one, but it says something along the lines of it eats your mental energy, I believe it says, or it's either your mental or your spiritual energy. So again, it's really weird, but bottom line is it absorbs energy. And it says like chakra, so if you really wanted to stretch it, you could maybe possibly argue it absorbs all 3, and Shikamaru, and it just absorbs one more than the other, but that might be a bit reaching, so I'm gonna leave that discretion up to you whether or not you want to argue that. I'm not telling you to or not to argue it. It's just on the table. And of course, she has all of the abilities that come with chakra by default. On to Sakon. Okay, now Sakon is interesting. I just got through reading his fight with Kiba, and it was a lot more one-sided than I remembered. So it was stated by Orochimaru that Sakon is the strongest of the Sound 4. Now, whether you think that he meant raw power or as a fighter overall is kind of debatable. Although I will say that it wouldn't be inconsistent if it was talking about raw power, considering what I'm gonna say next. In terms of feats, Sakon's no joke. He beat up post-amp Sasuke base to base in a 1v1 fight. Check out my Kid Sasuke video to learn more about, Kid Sasuke. Link will be in the description. And the fact that he was kind of stomping Kiba base to base, also Sakon said that his AP increases linearly with the number of limbs that he hits you with, which is really good considering he's actually 2 people merged. The other person he's merged with is his brother Yukon, which segues nicely into hacks. I'll do speed after. So in terms of hacks, Sakon has regen. We've seen him and his brother regenerate at least 1 arm and 1 leg. He also has his body merging ability, because, like I said, he's 2 people merged, where he adds his cells to your body. And when he does this, he can use a third ability, which is to poison your cells from the inside. And all three of those abilities are due to his unnamed Kekkei Genkai. In addition to that, he has all the abilities that come with chakra by default. Now, I don't think I have to mention this, but he also has the curse mark, just like all the other Sound 4 members. Now, onto speed. There are a few ways to go about scaling Sakon, and it depends on how you scale him to the other members and how fast you think the other members are. Now, we'll be using the sound speed meta just for the sake of time. So if we do say that in base Naruto that fought Kiba was the speed of sound and Tayuya was the speed of sound, then Sakon in base would be the speed of sound, and with Curse Mark 1 he'd get a 2 to 5 times amp, making him 2 to 5 times the speed of sound, and 10 times the speed of sound in CM2. Anyway, on to the team as a whole. Prepare to get your mind blown. Now, I'll be going over the Sound 4 as a team. I won't be going over AP or speed, since, they don't really change. Teamwork, though, doesn't make you stronger or faster. But their hacks as a team are something else entirely. Now, I won't repeat the hacks that they have on their own. So, without further ado, it was stated that the Sound 4's specialty is sealing and barriers. And this is backed up by the fact that the Sound 4, the 4 of the Sound 4 members, just the 4 of them, made a barrier so strong that not even Hiruzen and Orochimaru could break out of. That's crazy! What the heck? Come on, bro. These random Sound 4 members make a barrier so strong that the third Hokage and his student Orochimaru, who's fighting him, could not break out. Let that sink in. Now, another thing is that they can make a weird combination of a barrier and a seal called a barrier seal. And yeah, we are going to ignore the boring name. Anyway, also, they know the substitution jutsu, and for a cool thing for skill, skill though, XD, anyway, for skill as a team, they do have some cool team combos. Anyway, on to the recap. So in conclusion, the Sound 4 is an extremely powerful team, made up of some pretty strong members who are all small talent level plus in terms of AP, and anywhere from the speed of sound to the speed of lightning in base, and 10 times the speed of sound to 10 times the speed of lightning in Curse Mark 2. Sorry it took so long to get this video out. It took slightly longer than I thought to get the scans, and way longer than I thought to actually figure out what I was gonna say, because the Sound 4 is pretty interesting. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And check out the links in the description. The Cool Geek out. Bye.